Welcome to Classified Classes. Thank you so much for watching. Please press that like button and subscribe. My name is Giorgio, and I started Classified Classes. Here, we talk about economics and your economy and other issues related to economics. Since I'm an economist, I think it's important for me to study the economy every day. And what I do oftentimes is to read out loud my economic textbooks. And so what I'm doing now is continuing reading a book that I started. It's on industrial organization. And industrial organization is how firms change their behavior due to market conditions or regulatory changes. This book's title in its entirety is Industrial Organization, A Strategic Approach by Jeffery and Roger Ware. I will be continuing Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is Game Theory 2. And Section 9.3.1 is where I'm going to continue because that's where I left off when I was doing this privately. So I'm going to continue section 9.3.1 entitled Subgame Perfect Nash Equilibrium. A subgame is a smaller game embedded in the complete game, starting from some point in the original game. A subgame includes all subsequent choices that must be made if the players actually reached that point in the game. A subgame must begin with an information set that is a singleton, the initial singleton. Include all decision nodes and terminal nodes that follow the initial singleton, and not include any decision nodes or terminal nodes that do not follow from the initial singleton. In defining a subgame, we want to be able to identify paths of the equilibrium path that are well-defined games and related to the original game in order to test that the conjectured strategies are sequentially rational. This means that we want to respect the payoffs, timing of moves, sets of available actions, and information of the original game. In Figure 9.1, there are 3 subgames. Subgames begin at each of player 2's decision nodes, and the game itself is a subgame. In the prisoner's dilemma, the only subgame is the game itself. We are now in a position to define a subgame perfect Nash equilibrium, SPNE. A strategy profile is a subgame perfect Nash equilibrium if the strategies are a Nash equilibrium in every subgame. Since the game itself is a subgame, this means that a subgame perfect Nash equilibrium is also a Nash equilibrium. But subgame perfection also requires that the behavior implied by the equilibrium strategies off the equilibrium path also be optimizing, i.e. Nash. In the game, in Figure 9.1, the strategy profile, open bracket lowercase d, comma, open parentheses capital D, comma, capital U, close parentheses, close bracket, is not subgame perfect. A subgame begins at player 2's decision node, reached when player 1 selects lowercase u, which is of course off the equilibrium path since player 1's Nash equilibrium strategy says that she will play lowercase d. Player 2's strategy says that she could play capital D if 1 plays lowercase u. However, this is not optimal. Player 2 could deviate and do better by selecting capital U instead of capital D. Thus, player 1 should anticipate that player 2 will in fact play capital U, and since that gives her a higher payoff than playing lowercase d, player 1 should play lowercase u. SPNE, Subgame Perfect Nash Equilibrium, requires that players anticipate that their opponents will behave optimally. The strategy profile, open bracket, lowercase u, comma, open parentheses, capital U, comma, capital U, close parentheses, close bracket, is subgame perfect. The reader should verify that in each of the 3 possible subgames, neither player 1 nor 2 has an incentive to deviate. In a finite game of perfect information, the subgame perfect Nash equilibrium can be easily found through backward induction. Backward induction involves first identifying the smallest possible subgames, those that do not have any subgames within them. In a subgame of perfect information, these are the decision nodes just before the terminal nodes. We then ask for every one of these implied payoffs, making them terminal nodes of a new reduced form game. Working backwards, we identify the optimal choices to the next smallest set of subgames. The payoffs implied are then used to create a new reduced form in which those subgames are again replaced by terminal nodes with the appropriate payoffs. This process of holding back the game tree continues until the Nash moves for every possible subgame have been found. The collection of moves for every player at every subgame constitutes the subgame perfect Nash equilibrium strategies. As an example, consider the game in figure 9.4. The ordering of the payoffs is player 1, 2, 3. There are 3 decision nodes that immediately precede terminal nodes, player 2's, if player 1 plays lowercase u. Below is displayed figure 9.4, which demonstrates backward induction. 9.5 demonstrates reduced form. 9.6 figure demonstrates final reduced form. Continuing that sentence, there are 3 decision nodes that immediately precede terminal nodes, player 2's if player 1 plays lowercase u, and both of the nodes of player 3. If player 1 plays lowercase u, the optimal response by 2 is to play d. If player 1 plays lowercase d and player 2 plays capital U, then player 3 maximizes her payoff by playing capital D prime. If player 1 plays lowercase d and player 2 plays capital D, then player 3 maximizes her payoff by playing capital U prime. This yields the reduced form shown in figure 9.6. The optimal choice for player 1 is lowercase d. The path traced out by backward induction is lowercase d, comma, capital U, comma, capital D prime. The subgame perfect Nash equilibrium strategies that implement this path are 1. Player 1 plays lowercase d. 2. Player 2 plays capital U if player 1 plays lowercase d. Player 2 plays capital D if player 1 plays lowercase u. Number 3, player 3 plays capital D prime if player 1 plays lowercase d and player 2 plays capital U. Player 3 plays capital U prime if player 1 plays lowercase d and player 2 plays capital D. The subgame perfect Nash equilibrium SPNE strategies are 1. Complete contingent plans of action, and 2. Specify choices that are optimal for every subgame. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Classified Classes. Please hit that like and subscribe. And the book is free. It's easy to search it on Google. Industrial Organization, A Strategic Approach by Jeffery and Roger Ware. Until next time, thank you.